Hello everybody, this is Hopeless, coach of the illustrious Auroruses, and I'm back for week 3 of UNPL. Alright. This week was versus Ruppy, and as you can see, I ended up benching Shaman and Clock this week. You can see the Mischievous actually ended up coming to a game. And clearly you can see why. I want to point out there's a big discrepancy with his team that you may notice with the two ghost types on my team. That is right. This week, my opponent did not have a ghost or, no, I'm sorry, he didn't have a ghost resist at all. No normal, no dark type. His best thing was a dark resist for the, Chen Pao. So this Necrozma, this Spectre, and this Mischievous do go kind of crazy. As you can see, they're the first 3 mods on the builder. Those are the first 3 mods. I'm like, yep. He did have a Terra Lilligant, and I was a little worried about, like, I might get put to sleep and it could win. So that's why the Necrozma with safety goggles, just so I had something to answer for the sleep. Just in case, like, it would try to come in, revenge it, or something, because that's probably their best answer to revenge Necro, eventually. So this game I really wasn't exactly worried about, because I knew that offensively, I beat him offensively every single time. And then defensively, I pressure him a lot. Between the Chen Pao, the Necro, and the Spec. I have a couple setup threats, like Necrozma Mischievous, which I was thinking about going into the game. I was leading Tinkaton here, because I was thinking my opponent might lead the Mammoth line, because I think Lando lead is pretty obvious. Lando or Mischievous, and even then, if you lead Mischievous, you could knock on it, which is fine. So I led the Tinkaton because I'm Shuckaberry Fake Out. And the reason I'm that is so that I could guarantee break Sash on if there's like a potential Sash Suicide League Mammoth line. Just to try to like get like as much progress as possible, because Mammoth line went kind of hard into my team. That's why this Tinkaton was this specific set. The other just leading Sizz. So I'm just gonna get my rocks up here, because like rocks force a lot of progress for me. Torkoal has to spin them off, and because I have 2 ghost types, I just spin block it with Mischievous every time. I was not worried about that Torkoal getting these rocks off. And the rocks would just help overall chipping his entire team down. Until eventually I will just win with Spectre. Well, that was just my goal of this game. Do as much damage as possible, stall him out, make sure he doesn't have his turns to win, and all that. So I wasn't really too worried, because like if he clicks SD, I'm just gonna foul play him next turn. Nah, so I just rock up, and I can see by his damage, this is an offensive Sizz. I was thinking it was Metal Coat, because this looked like Metal Coat damage. From what like my calcs were, or is that or like Metal Coat fast? So like 252, like 252 Jolly with Metal Coat. So I intim him here, and it still does quite a bit. When I was looking at the damage, I'm like, damn, that still did a lot. I'm like, all right, does he want to? I expected him to maybe try to slow turn out here, so I just U-turn here. First off. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. Because if he tries to U-turn here, I was just going to go back into Tinkaton. I was just trying to see like if he would try to pivot Gyarados or anything, or like Electros here, because I think Electros pivot was kind of free. So I'm like, I'm just going to U-turn. I didn't see any reason to get like EP and give up. I'll potentially give him a turn. Yeah, he just bullet punches again, which I'm fine with, because I'm Citrus Berry. So that'll just cancel out, and I'll just go back to where I was for HP. Yeah, this defensive lane is coming in clutch. I'm EP because EP does more than EQ, funny enough, to the Torkoal. So I'm just looking at my options, and I'm like, okay. I know for a fact that his eel is AV, because if he doesn't bring AV eel into my team, he's insane. And it's like insane disrespect. So I'm like, alright, I'm gonna go Necro. I was debating on clicking Calm Mind here, but I'm like, nah, it ain't worth it. Not really. I'm gonna just get my chip. So I end up just clicking Heat Wave, because between the rocks and the Heat Wave, Eel's basically on like his switch into this is limited. Very, very limited. He does not have an answer to this Necrozma. And this is like a bulky Necro. So even after the -1, I wasn't exactly worried about U-turn or anything. I thought U-turn might have been a potential throw play, because it could always be a weakness policy Necrozma. So I don't think they would risk it this early into the game. At least not when they have answers to it. But I was leaning that this might be Scarf Adamant. Something like that. Because of how he just stayed in and BP'd instead of U-turning there. Because U-turn was pretty free for my opponent. There was no real downside to U-turning there, getting in Mammoth Swing. So yeah, I see this damage and I'm like, oh yeah, that bad boy's AV. That guy's AV as fuck. So I just gotta go, I'm just gonna go Lando here, because it's like no big deal. I see the knock and I'm like, yep, okay, cool. Cool. Just look at my options and I'm like, okay. I decided that I'm just gonna hit this. So I'm like, do I double? Do I U-turn? I'm a Stone Edge. Just get chip on it for later. I ended up missing. Yup. I'm like, shit. Shit. Damn, this is why you don't run Stone Edge. Remember, kids, don't run Stone Edge. That move? Terrible. It never lands when you need it to. This definitely put my opponent in a lot better of a situation than they were in before. Like, they were kind of like in like a minute situation. Now they're a little bit up here. It's just still an uphill, a super uphill battle for them, but this miss definitely helped them out. Because this EO was literally max. Like, I could tell from that damage he was max. He would have gotten very much chunked by that damage. Yeah, we're just gonna, just thinking here about what he was gonna do. Scarf Spec was, again, I brought Scarf Spec, funny enough, into a Weather Team again. This is basically just me thinking, okay, well, what are his answers to Spectre? It's Scarf Iron Bow. I go Tinkaton here because I assume Mammoth Swing is choiced. I'm not actually too sure how choiced he is. If he is or not. I assume he is choiced. In this matchup, Banded Mammoth Swing makes a lot of sense. So does Life Orb. And if I don't see Life Orb, I'm just going to assume he's Banded or Scarf. Sash could work too, though. Of course. I just go Tinkaton because I'm Shucka. I would live EQ anyway from the free. But he has free click for Ice Move anyway. Yeah, and he just crashes. Yeah, I'm just gonna get Gigaton here. I don't really need to make too many plays. Like I said, this Tinkaton's basically dead. I don't need to save it. I could just Gigaton here and just kind of dick around for a bit. Torkoal comes in. Which is fine. I see his boots. I see his Nut Drought, which I thought was really interesting. I actually would not have guessed that he would not have been Drought. And I was like, huh. Well, there goes Necrozma 1v1ing his entire team. Because with the Drought, if he was Drought, this Necro would have went so crazy. With the Moonlight and the Calm Mind, he would not have been able to break that. Not at all. 75%. Yeah, that would have swept. So I just go Miss Dreamus here to spin block. So I'm like, okay. It's whatever. He ends up rocking up himself, and I'm like, alright, that's true. I don't really have anything besides POW that's exactly weak to rocks. And it's fine, because I don't care that much. I'm like, alright, well, Miss Dreamus, this is your time to shine. The Terra goes, Terra Blast. I'm sorry, Terra Blast Shadow Ball. Miss Dreamus is probably one and only game he'll have all season. Miss Dreamus isn't that bad of a Terra Cap. Not at all. For like what? How many points was it? Like 1 or 2? It's not bad. Not at all. Its stat spread's decent. It's a lot better than what a lot of the other guys down there. Yeah, this is kind of the issue with his draft, is I can run like three supporting moves plus just Shadow Ball, and I hit everything neutrally and very hard. With both the Miss Dreamus and the Spectre. That is a huge issue. So he just ends up yawning me, and I'm like, alright, whatever. That's not that big of a deal. I'm like, okay. Does he spin here and does he sack Torkoal? Or does he save Torkoal? I'm like, I think he fire moves here. Cause I'm like, the switch to Spectre is so obvious, right? You're just gonna fire move me here. And I'm like, I don't want to risk my spec. That's what my thinking. I didn't want to risk spec potential endgame. So I'm like, I still need spec to eat a BP or even a potential Shadow Sneak. So I didn't want to risk it at all. And I'm like, alright, if he ends up doubling himself into what? Iron Vow here? Or something like that to try to get like a setup turn with Iron Vow if the Misdreavus is asleep? Potentially. And just like go and just immediately try to go for game. I'm like, I'm just gonna go Tinkaton just so I don't let that in right away. And if he like spins, I'm perfectly fine with that. He ends up switching himself, which is decent for me. And he makes the safe play and goes Electrosis. I thought it was interesting. But I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. My opponent needed to preserve this Electros a lot better. He needed to not keep bringing it in. Because it's just going to keep getting chipped down and worn down, and he really, really needs it to be checking these ghost types. So I believe right here, this Electros cannot switch into, what's its face anymore? The Spectre. So I was looking at it, and I'm like, okay. I think Misdreava is killed. I wasn't exactly calcing it, and I wasn't too sure. This is where the Stone Edge miss kind of came into matter, because I would have been able to keep the Eviolite on this. It turns out I didn't actually kill it. I should have just Calm Minded here. I thought I killed this. I definitely thought I killed this. From this range, I thought I... Pow was also another play I could have made, but again, I didn't really want to go Pow because Pow opened up the Iron Vow to come in for free after I killed it. Dude, that was the only reason I didn't go Pow right away. I also wanted to keep Pow a little bit, just in case for like a DD Gyarados. I was like, damn, Misdreavus, you suck. Damn, you suck, Misdreavus. Why'd you do like negative? I was fine with getting Eviolite knocked anyway, because this is dead. Torkoal's basically dead, because Torkoal can't switch into POW. Like, it'll die to the Ice Spinner or Icicle Crash, either of the two, in the Crunch. It guaranteed dies. I believe I'm actually Throat Chop for the Skeledirge. It should be Throat Chop. Ooh, I don't remember. I don't remember. If the Chimpow comes up, it'll show with Throat Chop. I believe I'm Throat Chop. Specifically Throat Torch Song Throat Spray. So yeah, there's even the playing field's pretty even right now. We're just kind of 5-5. I still think I'm in an amazing position currently. There's some scary things that my opponent could pull out, but again, I still have my Spectre at full HP. Like, that's all I needed for the game. Was really was just Spectre and Misdreavus. They put so much pressure on it, and it kind of just reinforces how important it is to draft a normal or a dark type. I like a good one, you know what I mean? Like Sableye doesn't cut it because it doesn't resist. It doesn't resist ghost, so you're gonna need a normal type of like a Sableye or a Spiritomb. And this is I guess I get it in SB. They aren't the greatest. It's only really Spectre and like the occasional Gengar H Soul work, but like Spectre is so nasty. It's such a nasty of a Pokemon. It's something I didn't really understand in the Wi-Fi community when I was going through other Wi-Fi leagues. Is they really underrate that mod. But like in the Showdown community, Spectre's around the one to pick 2 Pokemon. It's such a difference, and I'm like, wow, damn. So my opponent ends up just giving me Iron Vow here. I'm assuming he thought that it killed me, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know if he would stay in there or if he would like panic switch into like Scissor something. So I ended up just Wisping, just in case he like tried to like panic switch and be like, oh wait, hold on. So I'm like, okay. Looking at my options, I'm just like, huh. I'm always going spec here. Don't worry. I'm just like assessing my endgame potential here, and I'm just making sure my Spectre outsped. I'm just making sure my Spectre outsped Iron Vow. I didn't want to go into it, and then this ended up being slower. I had to like double check my prep just to make sure. I was always going into it here. So this is where the Spectre cycle now begins. This is what I'm talking about. Like, Spectre is so nasty. Like, it's so it just has like those godly matchups sometimes. Like even in Swish, I would admit it. Like even in Swish, like, I guess because I played in a lot of team tours and all that. People want to ban Spectre in Swish, and like it doesn't even have training kits. And it's just like, wow, Spectre really was underpriced. Because like it should have been 20. It should have been the same tier as Chen Pao. Chen Pao should have been banned. I'm a hard believer. Like I've used Chen Pao like shit. Take that guy away from me. I'm using him like a Weavile. Take that guy away from me. I can't use that guy. But I'm a hard believer. Chen Pao should be banned. That guy's unfair. I've seen the counts. That guy's unfair. I've seen it where games that this thing just claims all 6, and there's nothing the opponent can do because they lost the Sucker Punch 50-50. It's like, Jesus Christ. So the only thing I'm really worried about in this endgame specifically is this Gyarados right here being DD. And he went into it first. And he's Intimidate. And in my mind, I'm thinking he's Intim. Huh. I was just gonna sack my Lando. So I'm like, there's no shot he DDs. There is no possible way he DDs in front of this Spectre's face, right? If he DDs in this Spectre's face, I'll say it. My opponent had some insane balls to do that because it outsped his Iron Vow. And I knew he was Scarf Iron Vow, so he should know that it was Scarf Spectre. So I'm like, all right, he's insane if he DDs. I'm just gonna go Lando, and I'm gonna sack it to Terra Blast Flying here. My opponent just crunches. I'm like, oh, that's defensive Gyarados. Oh, wow. That's a really defensive Gyarados. That did nothing. And this Lando was not even that bulky. I was like, yeah, that's a defensive-ass Gyarados. Jesus. And I'm like, okay, do you even have DD? Cause I'm just going to Stone Edge here. I wasn't exactly worried. If it was Moxie, I would have been a lot more worried. Because my plan here originally was just to Intim sack. You just go Necro and just GG. Right? Like, or even just go Pow, GG, because Pow won from here too. Pow or Necro both won when they came in. It was just a matter of which of the 3 endgame win cons at full HP came in the endgame. My opponent goes Sizz here. I'm like, okay. Oh, go. I don't have to worry about Sizz potentially eating a Shadow Ball. So look, let's see if I win, which I end up landing this time. I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna... I don't really have a switch in to U-turn. If he U-turns, I throw. I'm like, okay, he probably kills me with BP here, but I can just go Necro after if he kills me with BP. I'm just gonna EP here because I'm like, all right, this thing's banded. I know he's banded at this point. He's either banded or he's Scarf. But he's doing a lot of damage, so I think he's banded at this point in the battle. And I'm like, if he locks into BP, I win with Necro. I don't think he can stop Necro if he locked into BP. So I'm like, I'm just going to EP here because I think he's in a U-turn. At this point, Lando's basically a sack anyway. Lando was not that important to the game plan. So I end up EPing. Like, look how much that EP does. Like, I was like, wow, that did nothing. And I'm like, he dual wing beats. I'm like, huh. Okay. I know your choice is because you would have U-turned earlier on the Lando. You didn't really have a reason to stay in BP unless you were choiced. Because if your choice staying in BP was the correct play, if you were banded, or if you weren't banded, you would have just U-turned on the Lando to get a Mammoth Swine, like a slow pivot. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure you're choiced. I'm just going to kill you with the Spectrier. I think for all intents and purposes, I believe they should have BP'd there. I believe they still lost the game if they had BP'd there, because I don't know. I don't know how they would have stopped the Necro. A Fizz Def Necro from that range. Not with their remaining guys, because the Torkoal would have died after a Calm Mind. And I don't know how Mammoth Swine and this Fizz would have stopped it, because this Fizz is slower than the Necro. Now, I could tell because he was slower than my, Lando. He was slower than my Lando. My Lando is minus speed. For this build. So, I'm pretty sure, like, there's no shot he's, like, max speed on that Sizz. I believe I was creeping, Adamant Sizz anyway on a Necro. So... for all intents and purposes, it wasn't that important anyway. I wasn't too worried about this endgame. I was pretty sure I always had this endgame locked up, no matter what. So this Gyarados comes back in. I was really curious on what the item on Gyarados was, and I'm like, are you Citrus Berry? It didn't proc with the rocks. I'm like, okay, if he's Citrus Berry, he EV'd it wrong. So what are you? I was looking at what he has left, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna shut up. Well, because like, at this point, I'm not worried. I'm literally not worried. If he DDs with this Gyarados, he's only out with DD Gyarados, and I'm just gonna stay in. Exactly. Like if he crunches, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'll just take my kill then. And yeah, this is Raps. Even if he goes Mammoth Swine would have to battle through Chen Pao, a full HP Chen Pao, and Torkoal. There was no and Necrozma. Sorry, and Torkoal would have to battle through Necrozma and the Chen Pao. I don't think there's any way out for them from here. Mammoth Swine comes in. I was expecting him to Ice Shard here, and I'm just like, alright, cool. Kill me. I know some people might have switched here to like preserve diff, but I'm like, there's no reason to switch. I've seen it where people will like BM switch to preserve diff, but I always say, I'm always of the record that if you switching potentially throws you the game and you have a guaranteed lockup win, why even preserve diff at that point? Just go for the win, because like it's so much more important to W over like the little numbers of diff, right? Either way, this was my week 3 versus Ruppy. I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, overall, this battle wasn't too bad. I definitely had matchup here. Definitely had matchup, and it was an uphill battle for my opponent. He brought it close. He brought it close for what it is. For like that matchup was abysmal. That was such a bad matchup. Real bad. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done in their shoes personally. I probably would have went with a DD Gyarados strat, but like. Again, I had so many answers to it. Well, I'll see you guys for next week. I hope you guys enjoyed the battle. See ya.